I thought it goes in the bunker. They're like, oh no, and then they can't find it. Now I'm really excited. They find it, and he gets this free drop where he's basically almost on the fringe. Folks, this is the Rush Hour Golf Podcast, episode 15, being videoed right after episode 14. We've got to tackle the hottest story in golf right now, and it isn't Big Boy Pants Golf on Hank Haney's podcast. It's actually the backstory to it and the feelings and emotions that were inspired by Pro Golf Critic and Jake Span Golf when they watched the video. And furthermore, our feelings about the USGA.
This is going to hit you right in the feels. No, because we hate the USGA. Well, first off, dude, we're so proud of you for taking the time. We're so proud of you for taking the time, Pants, to be able to go out there and like actually call the dude. It took some serious nut salad to be able to do that, and you went through it and you did it. It was awesome, bro.
Well, it's weird to me that no sports journalist like Bob Harrig of Sports Illustrated would kind of verify this, because further showing that we're living in a simulation or a Black Mirror episode, as I'm editing this video, Bob Harrig actually comes out with an article on the same topic that I did on Friday, but in a poorer fashion, of course, that got me into the Hank Haney Hall of Fame. You got a situation out here where it's the summertime. We've got club championships going on all the time. People don't know the rule now. People are going to be like, I just watched Rory's drop. I'm dropping it the same way. You're like, that was improper. Why wouldn't you immediately the next day or even that night say, that was an improper drop? Here's what you should have done, because they've already debated and they know the rules.
That's why I posted that picture immediately the next day, because it wasn't anywhere near as close to the situation as Rory's was, but it was just simply for the point of conversation of saying, hey, this is a questionable bullshit situation that we don't really have a true answer to. And with golf, and Hank Haney on his podcast talked about this. He talked about how you have pros who don't know the rules. How can the amateurs know the rules?
This is a problem that I've had with golf for a long time. I think that I don't hate the USGA. I want to get it out there now, especially because I'm going to be competing in a tournament there this summer. So I don't want any retribution. But I do think that Hank Haney said it best. It is a bit of an amateur organization. The PGA Tour, like, you don't see these same rules snafus on the PGA Tour nearly as much as you do at a USGA event. I think you had the situation with Gordon Sargent on the 18th hole with the ball popping out of the cup. Like, that's just like an indicator of like some of the things at the USGA. Like, they probably do need to go a little bit more professional. Like, there's probably too many volunteers doing these things, and they probably need to have full-time, like, Slugger White had the week off from, a live event. You could easily call him in and be sort of the czar of like rules infractions and stuff like that to like, to make sure something like this doesn't happen. Because that was like a really critical time in that golf tournament. Like the 14th hole in the final round, Rory has this weird situation. It's like total chaos where like nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody's mic'd up. There's not really a great explanation for what's going on. So, the USGA definitely has a little bit of work to do. And, I'm glad it's being highlighted now, because I think more and more people are seeing it.
Well, that's one thing I love about Live is that we actually know who the referee is, kind of like in the UFC. You know who the referees are. We know Slugger White's there on site as their on-site rules official, overseeing drops, overseeing relief. We know that Tony Zerpoli is the guy they're calling on at 4 a.m. to wake him up, get him some coffee, and be able to ask, like, what the hell are they doing right here? We know those two guys. We don't have that with the USGA event, which maybe they shouldn't have to do that, but you get what I'm saying. If the rules are as complex for golf as they are, and this is as big a deal, this is a major championship, why don't we have, the Bruce Buffer of rules officials on site ready to go? I don't understand.
It's the biggest event they got.
Well, I'll tell you this, in relation to when I was DMing with Hank Haney, I pointed out that it's 2023. Why couldn't you just call someone in the booth who's watching this? Because everyone's watching. They like, hey, what's the official rule here?
Yeah. Why is it Mike Wan? Why is it Mike Wan the guy making that call?
Because he's an amateur and he's not that good, and he probably doesn't know the rules. Let's just be
I mean,
Let's
I
just call
get
a
that.
spade a spade. Let's just call a spade a spade. Like he's a good business person. Like that is his strength. He is not a golfer. He does not know the rules at the level of like a Mike Davis, who used to be. People hated Mike Davis. Like I get it, but like I guarantee you, Mike Davis knows all the rules. And when that whole thing was going down, he was like, "Oh my god, what are we doing, guys?" Like those are the types of people that you need in that position, that specific position. You need a stronger referee. You need somebody coming in that's going to lay down the law, and they just didn't have it.
Well, I'll ask you this too, because I asked the USGA guy on the phone, where are you supposed to drop in that situation? Because where would 46 inches get you? When I asked him on the phone, he said, I don't want to get into that now, but it still leaves everyone in the dark. So I still don't know where you're supposed to drop it. And we still don't know where to drop the ball after Bob Harrig's great due diligence. Instead, we have the fact that the USGA's chief governance officer deflects by saying the nearest point of relief was misidentified, but we don't know where you're actually supposed to drop the ball.
I was arguing before with you guys saying he should have dropped it in the bunker itself. But, because to me, that was nearest point of relief. That was no nearer the hole, which obviously that's been found to be, he could have actually dropped in the deep rough. But again, I get it. And it's just the fact that none of us could get, all three of us were on here debating it for an hour last week.
Who was
and
right?
We couldn't give.
Who was correct? Who was correct in that situation?
Okay, big boy pants, we get it. You were the closest to the answer because you made the phone call.
Maybe we do, like, one of the things that I've been clamoring for is that we need to like simplify the rules of golf, and maybe one of the rules we need to change is, yes, having that lie would be completely unfair to Rory to play it. Guess what? Tough shit. Like, it is what it is. You got to play it as it lies. Maybe that's the direction that we need to go in, like, because there are so many of these very special situations where people are getting relief and this and that, and they go through this very long, drawn-out process to figure it out.
Well, once you open the can of worms is open. And, 50 years ago, it was played as it lies almost 100%. You're absolutely right. Where it was like, hey, you're in a divot, sucks to suck, buttercup. Hey, you're on a sprinkler head, sucks to suck. Hey, you're on the cart path, man, that sucks ass. Maybe you should hit better,
That might be where we have to go, yeah.
Well, it's weird because I actually don't think you had to hit off the sprinkler head back 50 years ago, so I'm not going to address that. I think
you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
I wasn't sure about that.
But
you get what I'm saying, though.
But in Rory's situation, didn't they workshop this a little bit and being like, well, if you have this 46-inch zone of relief from a spot right behind the ball, and then this area behind the ball no closer to the hole, and you can't drop it in the bunker because it has to be, I guess, through the it's not through the green, it's through the area of play. So you specifically can't drop it in the bunker,
right?
Because unless you were in a bunker, then you have to drop in the bunker.
But maybe we need to change that. Maybe that needs to be part of it, because otherwise it just gets too confusing. Like how is, like, if literally nobody knew about this, like, during the event, and didn't call it out immediately, like, oh, wait a minute, this is an improper drop. Like, we need to get somebody down there. The book of the rules of golf is way too big, so it's like it's hard for anybody to know every single one of these rules.
Well, you're going to have situations where 46 inches doesn't get you to a spot of relief. That's just very easy to see that, right? You could be like, oh, I'm here, and then I'm 60 inches away over here, 60 inches over here. So the USGA rules didn't provide you a solution. So I think that's part of the reason why the guy didn't come up with an answer, because it's a defect within the rule book itself, as is the fact that, as per the call, he said that you measure along the surface of the ground. So again, why are we thinking in terms of using a golf club, which is like a ruler and something that's hard, has no flex, when everyone should have a tape measure in their bag? Because it's, am I right? Because
but are we really turning it into where you have to have a fucking law degree to play golf?
I know, and that's part of the problem. No, that's part of the problem. Like, I do think that looking back and looking this over, and like all the stuff about the embedded ball and stuff like that, I think that the only rule that should have been in play is probably like an unplayable lie. Then it's very cut and dry that like, if you have an unplayable lie, it's like you have the option of playing it from where you were. You have 2 club lengths from that particular spot. No exceptions. It's from that spot. No closer to the hole. Like, that's how you could kind of simplify this. I think he was kind of getting off of the technicality, because I don't know about this embedded ball thing. Like, I'm going by Rory and the referee. There is supposed to be some level of integrity left in professional golf. I don't know if that was the case. It probably wasn't an unplayable lie. You got to take your penalties and deal with it.
If you got a guy claiming embedded and he can say it's breaking the surface, then it's weird when the rules itself don't have a way to get you relief because they've only provided you 46 inches, and that doesn't get you to a spot. It just, once you start putting the parameters in of it can't be close to the hole and X, Y, and Z, there's going to be situations where there is no solution then.
Yeah.
Well, and that's when an easy fix is just to change the wording and basically treat it like a relief from a hazard. You can say it's still penalty free, but you can treat it like relief from a lateral hazard, where it's, hey, no nearer to the hole, back on the line of entry, as far as you want. Yeah. Easy fix. Everyone would argue. Yeah.
We might have to get rid of the embedded ball relief, and if your ball is embedded, you just got to play like a bunker shot. Like, I think that may be where all this is going. Like, unless just like before a particular tournament that they say you're playing lift, clean, in place, they say we're playing the embedded ball rule, because this particular course, like, there's no place where it could really be embedded. Like, it should just be unplayable.
Well, and now they've opened a can of worms for what happens. Players are now going to take driver intentionally at the Open Championship to try and hit it into the vertical bunker walls with the intention of, like, hey, if I hit it over the wall, awesome. But now those vertical bunkers that are at the Open Championship courses, now I can just embed it in the wall, drill it into the wall with my driver, and I get free relief.
Nobody's going to be able to do that at the Open Championship, though, because those bunkers, you can't penetrate them at all.
I know, but you get what I'm saying.
I've been in enough of them. Trust
yes, but it's just one of those where we open up a can of worms of players finding a new tactic to beat the game.
Well, I'll tell you this. I wouldn't be so anal about this, except for that drop that Cam Smith had in the FedEx Cup playoffs last year, where his ball after the drop rolled on the red line. And because it was still touching the red line, they called in a day later and gave him a 2-stroke penalty to move him from within 3 of the lead to moved him back.
Yeah, because he didn't take full relief or something. Yeah, I remember that.
So if you're that anal about a guy not gaining, he didn't gain any advantage. He dropped the ball, it rolled and touched the line. But now you're going to have another situation where, as per your rules, there is no relief. And that's why they haven't given any. There was no place for him to drop as per the embedded ball rule. But you should be able to go through the rules and say, this doesn't make sense, or this is confusing, and workshop it out now. But no one did that because no one asked the right questions.
Yeah.
In the beginning when it's made, right? You can look at this situation and say, okay, but you say this is the rule, but what if the nearest relief is 49 inches away, 51 inches away? Then they have to have a plan B in case it's 51 inches away. But so it's just a very weird situation that these guys haven't provided rule books that they're overly complicated, and they don't provide solutions.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I've been very anti rules crowd for pretty much my entire life playing golf, because, like, I think people fall back on these rules and they lose the intent of like everything that goes on in this situation. Like, we're supposed to have integrity. We need to make things way more simple, and the more rules we keep adding, the more situations it's just going to get to where we are now, where, like, we've tied ourselves in knots and nobody really knows what the hell is going on in the middle of a major championship. Like, that is like a huge red flag.
We allowed enough people to create enough scenarios to fix the issues in their own game. And that's what they were. They were originally created as ways to get around a problem that somebody got because of an issue that they created with their own play. Mm-hmm. And that's what they are. And we've allowed all these scenarios, to where we're almost damn near at mulligan scenarios in pro golf almost.
We've made things way too easy for the pro golfers. Like, they have these grandstands that they get free relief from. Like, we've made things. And then you have someone like Rory talk about how, the game is too easy. Like, maybe we do need to have these, complications, like, to make it more difficult. Like you get up against a grandstand, tough shit. Like you just got to play it as it lies. So
Yeah.
because you have all these other things helping you, we need to sort of balance it out and come in the other direction.
And that would make sense because right now on a PGA Tour event, pretty much every single hole has some type of stand almost directly behind the green, maybe 15 feet, to where there's no reason for you to take the short club, right? There is no literal benefit for you to take the short club. Take the long club. If you're in between clubs, take the long club. Guess what? Because worst case scenario, you get a nice cushy little drop 15 feet behind the green. And so I understand what you're saying there because it's free. They don't care. You know, we literally do actually have mulligans in golf now because if you hit a power line, you actually get a free one. That happened last year, I think, to Will Zalatoris, and that's why I learned about that. And because he hit a power line in the middle of a tournament, and he was like, "Oh, it's a free shot." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to save that one for a certain course in town."
Yeah, when they used to have the Mercedes, well, it was called the Mercedes Championship. It was basically the Tournament of Champions at La Costa. I remember that in the early 2000s or so when I was a teenager, and I remember seeing that, and I was like, so this same guy hit it into the power lines twice, and he got free like first shot power lines, hits it again, power line again, and I'm like, shouldn't that be a penalty? Like, oh, he just gets to play it again? Oh, okay. So I mean, look, there are a lot of rules like that come out of such situations. I think you hit the power line, it is what it is.
Suck.
Yeah, that would be an easy way to do it, but not fair. But golf isn't intended to be fair.
Gentlemen, it's even worse than you think, because I want you to think about when you hit it in the water, you have to have certainty that it's in the water, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so if you don't see a splash, maybe it is in the water. If the ball, even if you do see a splash, you can read about it. I guess I read this one guy discussing the rule. That's not certainty enough because it could hit a rock in the water and bounce out. So what level of certainty do you have to have as per these rules? They don't really specify. They
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
No, the women's PJ that just happened, Stephanie Meadow, last hole, she skipped it over the water. She saw a splash. Everybody thought it was in the water, but it actually skipped over the water, and it wound up on the other side. So if you might make the assumption that it went in, but somebody has to tell you, oh no, the ball's actually over here.
And who has these galleries or these rules officials, these people spotting your ball the whole time?
Nobody.
Not me.
I certainly don't.
Certain tournaments that we do have that, but it's pretty rare.
USGA, Big Boy Pants Golf, Jake Span Golf, and Pro Golf Critic, we want to work with you to simplify the rules of golf, make them comprehensible, and help grow the game instead of having people feel uncomfortable and intimidated by the rules of golf. Thank you very much. Subscribe, share, and like.